Okay. So, Callum, you were saying that you've been practicing for the past several years, but
About
now
three,
that, go ahead.
about 3 years, I'd say.
Uh-huh. And what were you practicing before?
So, a lot of yogic techniques, really. So, asanas, pranayam, mantra meditation, reading a lot of Advaita.
Reading a lot of what?
Advaita, Vedanta.
Okay, Vedas, right.
Hmm.
So, what were you getting out of that?
A lot of energetic happenings, the Kundalini phenomena and whatnot. I was doing a lot of that stuff.
Okay. And what did you get out of that? A lot of Kundalini?
Um, Enough.
Okay. Um, it takes quite a lot of correct practice in order to have those kind of phenomena going, but almost none of the teachers or any of the books talk about exactly what correct practice is, only in the sense of some of the results of correct practice. And that the correct practice is actually quite remarkably spelled out in the Eightfold Noble Path, which is not a path, it's a method. Like a way to do something or a highway, we use the word way for two different uses. But the word path is almost always used in the sense of a footpath, a horse path, an animal path,
Mm.
a path to enlightenment, rather than the method of enlightenment, because the method of enlightenment can happen right now. But the
Yeah,
path to enlightenment is going to take them lifetimes.
yeah, I've realised that now.
Okay, well that's good. That's an important point. Um, that most of the Western practice is not correct because it doesn't use all of the Eightfold Noble Path, and the one that's the most specifically missing is the right effort. And so, if you're taking the right effort, then you're going to get the right results.
Mm.
The Mahasi method is notorious, in fact, for only teaching two of the Eightfold Noble Path,
Right.
sati and investigation, except that their understanding of the investigation is to see that dukkha, find that dukkha, rub that dukkha on your skin, take it home with you, cut it up, put it in your food, get a load of it, connect this dukkha to that dukkha. And when you really, really, really understand dukkha, then you'll be free from it. And that's not the case at all.
Yeah, I know.
That all you have to do is just see it in the distance and then make a change so that you don't go playing with your own crap. Stop and enjoy life instead.
Yeah, it was good to hear that from you. How, for the first time within practice, I kind of felt like I'm able to take responsibility. Because before I was expecting the Dukkha Nanas. I was like, oh, I'm going to have to go through hell. I'm going to have to really hit the pits before I can make a change. But now I'm like, oh no, I can do this.
Well, congratulations. I hope that you stay with that because even when students do get that, they keep coming back with yet something new about why they're not going to practice correctly. Because after all, they do have a problem now, a real one. Like, oh, I had so much to do. I didn't call you because I was so busy. Well, the busyness is a good reason to call so that you won't be so busy. Or, oh, I didn't call you because I was sick.
Right.
Well, if you're sick, that's a good time to call.
Yeah, it's kind of what I realised. Oh, there's never a moment where I can't wake up. There's never a moment when I can't do this. I don't have to go to a hall and sit in a position. This is always now.
Mm-hmm. There's always a right now. With all of those centuries of time, there's never been a time when there was no right now. And the other part of it is that tomorrow's never come. You'll say, I'll do it tomorrow, but whenever you do it, you still do it right now. That in fact, people get really confused about calendars. Like today is the 5th, and I'll do it tomorrow, which is like the 6th. No, when the 6th comes, it's going to be today. It's not going to be tomorrow. So we never do anything tomorrow. You always do it today.
Yeah.
You always do it right now. Whenever you're doing something, we do it now.
How I managed to sort of, I really had some stifling kind of neurosis before, but that's how I've managed to deal with it. It's like, because I can't see the, can't invest in it anymore.
Isn't that remarkable?
Yeah, it's a relief.
So, what should we talk about today? You have any particular questions?
I did have one. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I heard you mention somewhere that there's formalized steps to Sotapan.
All right. Let us say that there are milestones that are written in suttas, and that I use a combination of Sutta number 24, the chariot relay, and Sutta number 48, which is the Kasambian Sutta. Now, Sutta number 24 was a conversation between a monk that was living in a foreign area. He had gotten his Dhamma from monks that had moved away, and he finally got around to coming for a ceremony or for some reason to see the Buddha. And Sariputta takes a look at this guy and corners him, going to check him out. And this guy also knows that he's with Sariputta and that he's on the spot. And so Sariputta asked him a series of questions, and to the Western ear, it sounds weird. Okay, so the first question is sati the path to enlightenment? The second question is right noble samadhi, getting the mind together, is that the path to enlightenment? Is right noble viewing the path to enlightenment? Is knowledge and vision of what is the path and what is not the path to enlightenment? And again, this monk answered, Amabante, no. Okay, and so after a series of 7 questions, Sariputta asked him, why do you say no to each and every one of these questions? And this is where the chariot race or the chariot relay comes in. And the guy answers it like this. Imagine that the king was leaving his palace in Saranath and going to Rajgiri. And on the way, he changes his chariot. So he'll go to one-way stop, spend the night, and then get a new chariot and a new team of horses and goes to the next stop. And then he takes and gets spend the night there, and then he gets a new set of horses and a new set of chariot. And he takes that, and after 7 days, he gets to Rajgiri. But if the question is, will this chariot and this horse get me to Rajgiri? The answer is no. Does this make sense so far?
Yeah.
All right. So this is basically what we're meaning is that you have to go through the stages of getting certain things going, a certain set of skills. And one skill at a time is normally done, but we need all of those skills. For instance, is a chef that is who specializes in soups. And I know in French cooking, there are actually chef schools that specialize in sauces and soups. But he's not going to be able to be the head monk of a big restaurant. Also, there is guys who specialize in cutting vegetables, especially Asian. You know, they go like that and spread it out, and it's a beautiful thing, right? But they're not going to be able to manage a whole restaurant because that's not enough. So we can develop a lot of different skills, but when we get enough of the skills going, then we could be the head chef at the restaurant. So the next sutta then is the sutta about the Kasambian, and this is where we really begin to understand what's going on. And so in this particular sutta, the first thing that after the preliminaries and the situation with the Kasambians, he starts by defining what are the obstructions, what are the hindrances. This is the important point, is that we're going to define what the hindrances is, and then the Buddha makes the statement that when the practitioner comes to the point that he can say, and with surety, that no matter how obstructed the mind becomes, no matter what hindrances are there, I can throw them out so that I can see what's really happening in this present moment. I can come to the truth of reality because I have removed those hindrances. All right? So, almost any practitioner, or Westerner especially, that you meet cannot say that. They can say that, oh, well, sometimes I get sick and I don't want to practice. Or, oh, sometimes I have too much to do and I'm too busy to practice. Right? Or, oh, I got it and I was getting it, but now I can't get it. That something has obstructed my mind now and I can't do it. So, the Buddha is saying that that in fact there are 7 knowledges that bring one about to the Sotapanna, and this is the first one. And then the Buddha says is that this first knowledge of confidence that no matter what happens, I can clean my mind out, and so that I can see things the way that they really are. Then it says that this is the first knowledge. This is the first step. This is noble. This is supra-mundane. And what that means is this is not held by ordinary people. Ordinary people will find things to complain about. All right? In America, they complain about the IRS. They also complain about each other's political parties. They'll complain about a politician. They'll complain about their salaries, which means then that they're a victim to each and every one of the things that we complain about. Anything that you can find to complain about means that you're hindered by your complaining about it. And the solution to that would be that no matter what obstruction, no matter what complaint comes up in your mind, you can say, hot dog, I can see that I just did that, and let me stop doing it right now and come out of that state of being obstructed, and that I know that I can. I know that no matter what happens, I can stop doing it and come throw that stuff out, and then I can see things the way that they really are. And the most important quality that I think to that is that this is not held by ordinary people. You have already made the first step of enlightenment, is when you get to that knowledge, when you come to that knowledge that I can clean out my mind. This is why I go around talking about shampoo bottles. You know, on the back of every shampoo bottle that's sold at 7-Eleven or on the grocery store, those shampoo bottles, if you look on the back of the bottle, it says the entire teaching of the Buddha. Rinse and repeat. Right? Isn't that on the back of all the shampoo bottles? Isn't that exactly what we're talking about here? No matter how dirty the mind gets, I'm going to clean it out. Then I'm going to repeat that again and again and again until we get the confidence that I can throw all of that stuff out of the mind. Okay? Now, this works very well with the Sutra number 24, especially if you see what happens in the intermediate. So the second knowledge is that and this is one of the few places where the word samatha is used. And I will point out that you've probably heard about samatha and vipassana. Okay, vipassana is almost never used, and samatha is only used occasionally, and this is a place where it's used. And the samatha here is actually referring to all of the first jhana, in the sense of not only having the hindrances out of the mind, but we also have that feel-good quality. We have knowledge and vision that I can, in fact, get myself into a state of unification of mind, or into the state of samadhi. And this is the second that is said to be the second step of the Sotapanna, and that this second step is noble. This second step is supramundane. It's above the world, and this is not a position that's held by ordinary people. Why? Because ordinary people don't have this experience of having the mind cleaned out and also being able to control their feelings. And this is a knowledge and vision of that second knowledge. Now, we'll take the point here is to say that generally in other suttas, Sotapanna is broken into two major phases. One is the path, and the other one is the fruit, in the Palamagga. Okay? So, we actually have the path, and this is the first and second step that is still the practice, not the fruit. This is not the benefit of the first jhana. This is only the taking of the step. But if we talk about it correctly, that means that the label Sotapanna either doesn't apply at all anywhere, or it applies in this very first and second step. So you having the knowledge and vision that I can clean out my mind. I know I can do it at any particular time, no matter how the mind gets disturbed or distracted. I can see that and stop it and bring the mind back. This is actually getting into the Dhamma. The word Sotapanna is sometimes referred to also as stream entry, and we can think of it as entering the stream of the Dhamma. And the stream of things is I can get out of the hindrances. 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 And then the second one, the stream, would be I can relax and feel good. 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 All right? So the third step is this is where I add the two sutras together most specifically, because in the third chariot, it actually states that knowledge and vision of, actually it's the fourth on this thing, but it's got a particular viewpoint to it, and that's the knowledge and vision that I understand what is the path and what is not the path. Knowledge and vision of what is the path and what is not the path, or in the case of what we're talking about, the method, that I've got it wired. I really do get the entire eightfold noble path, got it down solidly, without a doubt. I got it. Okay, this is the third knowledge, and that third knowledge for sure is now noble. For sure, it is now supramundane. And for sure, this is not held by ordinary people. Very few people have that kind of confidence that they know without a doubt that they know exactly how to live their lives. They know exactly the method to apply to every moment so that they have freedom. Okay? And then we come to the next one, step number 4. Now, step number 4 is actually kind of a fulcrum. It's an important point because now the table has tipped. Now we're going out of just the path into the actual fruit. Okay? And the actual point of the 4th one is what the Patty Mork is all about. Are you listening here? Okay. We got a guy here that's wanting to become a monk. And so this is the point about the Patty Mork is the confessional. Because in order to do the Patty Mork, we have to say a little phrase in the Pali, but also it has the quality of actually recognizing any wrongdoing, any problems, any lies that we've told, any behaviors that we've done that are harmful, and we confess that to either our teacher or to a senior monk. And that we do this as we enter the Patty Mork, so that during the Patty Mork celebration and ritual, at the end of it, and this happened in the time of the Buddha, where he would look around the entire assembly and says, "Oh, monks, each and every one of you, look around this assembly, and do you see even one person who is not worthy of being here?" Ah, so that means that no matter how mad a monk messed up last week, we see him as pure now, especially our own self. So we can take this then to say that we accept our wrongdoing, that it's actually just wrongdoing. It's not that we broke a law. It's not that it's illegal. It's not that we have a fallen angel or anything like that, but rather that we accept ourselves the way that we are, warts and all. That's an old expression that I use commonly, okay? That you actually accept the wrongdoing and the problems that you've made, the efforts that we have put in that have failed, and we accept ourselves the way things are. This is hard. That in fact, the number one cause of lying that we have in society, the ordinary people, they don't have this because they lie, because they don't accept themselves the way that they are. In fact, we go into denial. I will not admit to my wrongdoing. I'm trying to hide it. I'm trying to say, oh, I didn't do that. I want to get away with it, rather than acknowledging it, seeing for what it is, because if we're not willing to really look at what's going on, we're not going to be able to get over it. We're going to continue to hide from it while we still do it. Okay? This is the big point. This is, in fact, the middle of it, and this is the transition from the knowledge or the path, which is actually knowledge, and the deliverance. That, in fact, this is the point of deliverance. We're delivered from our wrongdoing by acknowledging it, admitting it, seeing it clearly, and being able to do something about it. Well, in a way, we're going right back to and repeating the whole point about the hindrances, aren't we? That's what this is all about, is to see in the very beginning, can you see those hindrances in your mind and forgive yourself? The way that Goenka phrases it is when the mind wanders away from the breath, never mind, start again. That's the never mind quality is a step 4. Is give yourself a break. Stop criticizing yourself for your wrongdoing. Nurture yourself for being happily able to see it and do something about it.
Because unification of mind that's quite imperative, isn't it?
Yes, this is actually the beginning of the unification of the mind. Is because we can accept our wrongdoing, we can accept ourselves and nurture ourselves, warts and all. Just like a mother of a tender infant will accept that infant the way that they are. The little infants will scream like bloody hell. They'll keep the family up all night long. They poop all over the place. They want food, you know, and mom will put up with that child when it's very young. But when the kid gets 4 or 5 or even 16, if he takes a crap on the living room floor, now they're going to criticize him. They're not going to nurture, right? And so we go from the transition of everything absolutely is wonderful as little children into get your act together, kid. Go clean up your room. Do your homework. Wash the dishes. Do what you're told to do. We've got to get you ready to be miserable for the rest of your life. You do what you're told to do and don't like it. And that's the way that we train our children. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he'll do what he's told to do, and he will be miserable doing it.
That's our whole society.
Pardon?
That's our whole society.
That's our whole society. That's the whole show right there and there. All right? That we're not supposed to accept our wrongdoing. We're supposed to change that and do what we're told to do. And we begin to lie. Oh, Mom, I didn't do it. Al Sharpton, one of the preachers come politician, has the old story that he and his little friend found that Mom had made, or Granny had made, a blueberry pie. And they had some. And she walks in and sees that both kids have blueberry pie all over their face. And so she asks him, what happened to the blueberry pie? Oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. And there the blueberry pie is all over their face. Oh, I don't know. See, we lie. We don't want to be held responsible for our own wrongdoing. And the whole point of being a monk is to get over that. Accept your wrongdoing. Yeah, Granny, I had the blueberry pie. It was so delicious. Thank you very much. You did a marvelous job of that blueberry pie. I couldn't resist it. And what's Granny going to do then? But if she catches you lying, oh, I didn't take it, she's going to beat the pit out of you. So that's how we can learn to live our lives. Oh, I did what I did because of my own ignorance, because of my own stupidity, and I can learn. This is where we begin to get the fruit of the Sotapanna. So, step 5 in this Kasambian Sutta, number 48 in the Majjhima Nikaya, also kind of parallels what is in the Sutta number 24, in the sense that we begin to pay attention now to the Dhamma, really dedicated to it. There are 2 examples in the sutta. One is that the monk, even though he has sweeping duties or cleaning duties for the wat, still he is thinking about the Dhamma. He sees Dhamma everywhere. Dhamma, 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 Dhamma. That's all there is. And he thinks about it, and he studies it, and he looks at it, and he is glad to go hear the Dhamma talk. He is glad to listen. He wants to hear the Dhamma. He spends all of his time looking at the Dhamma. The other example is like a cow who gives birth to a calf, and that even though she eats grass, she's got one eye on that calf. She positions herself between the forest and the field that they're eating in, so that if anything comes out of that forest to attack that calf, she's going to be there. You see that in the videos that they have of Africa, where the lions are after the cubs, the baby elephants, and the mother elephants will stand right there. You got to come through me to get to this baby. All right? So that's the way that we begin to live our lives. If you want to get to me, you got to come through the Dhamma, because the Dhamma is my protection, and I'm staying with the Dhamma no matter what. Okay? So this is a very good position, because now the fruit is actually showing that we have Dhamma on the brain all the time. I see that done with the students. They'll come onto the Skype groups or on Discord, and they'll say, Dhamma's it. Dhamma is all there is. I see Dhamma in everything. So that's the statement of step 5 right there. that we got nothing to do but Dhamma. Yeah, we can do a little bit of sweeping, but it's a Dhamma sweeping. So that's the step 5. Step 6, then, is the key word is eager, that we become eager for the Dhamma. Not only do we have it on the brain, but we go out seeking the Dhamma everywhere. We go looking for it everywhere. We want to hear those teachings. We want to talk to people. We don't want to shut up about the Dhamma. The only thing I've got to say is Dhamma, 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 Dhamma. I can't shut up about it. This is at the level then is where students actually become budding teachers, because they can't shut up about the Dhamma. That's all they've got to say. All right, and we're eager for the Dhamma. We're looking for the Dhamma. That what am I going to do for the next 10 minutes? Let's go read a sutta. Let's go find something to do, like watch the breath. Let's get into the Dhamma. So we begin to get completely dedicated to the Dhamma now because we're so eager for it. And this is step 6. This is the 6th knowledge that is now the fruit of the path. It is now the getting noble, really noble, all the time noble, or at least every time that we think of there we go. This is the Dhamma. That's all I care about. And then it is super mundane, and it's still for sure now not held by ordinary people. The guys on Wall Street, they'll get really eager about money that they're losing, but they're not for the Dhamma. So scientists will get really, really stuck in their writing mathematics on the backboard, but they don't have any joy. They have the drive. Okay, so now we're talking about a kind of a drive that we have, this eager for the Dhamma, that we're driven for it, that we don't want anything else. All there is Dhamma. By now, this is the kind of time when people are going to ordain. They can't have nothing but the Dhamma. And so they want to be in the Dhamma. They want to be around people who are in the Dhamma. They want to be in the Wat. They want to be in a place where they can get the Dhamma all the time. They want to stay away from the bars. They want to stay away from the office and the workplaces. They want to stay with just the Dhamma. Okay? So, what could step 7 possibly be? What is the real fruit? What is the termination and the penultimate of the fruit of Sotapanna? The answer to that is becoming delighted that you can find and see Dhamma everywhere. You become delighted and enthusiastic and eager, but the confidence is that everything is joyful. Everything is top quality. That because all you have is the Dhamma and the emptiness, and wow, what a trip that is. And so that's the penultimate, or the end of the point of Sotapanna is, and look at all of this stuff that we've gone through so far, is that wow, we've got the mind trained. Wow, we've got the path down correctly. Wow, we have forgiven ourselves of all of our stuff and accept ourselves, warts and all, that we're completely dedicated to the Dhamma. We're completely enthusiastic about the Dhamma, and now we are joyful. We get and the words that we would use would be like Nandi, like Ananda, okay? Ananda means the bliss, the happiness, the joy, the enthusiasm, all built together. And that's also the word is rato, or rata. This is where the name Dhammarato comes from. They gave that name to me, and I took that as a task to do, is to become delighted in the Dhamma.
Yeah, you're doing a good job.
Go ahead.
Doing a good job.
Well, I have a friend, by the way. His name is Dhamma Vitu, And what that means is knower of the Dhamma, the vision of the Dhamma. So his name is that he has the ability to know the Dhamma. And he's the one that's translating, by the way, the latest translator of Bhikkhu Buddhadasa. The newest book on the shelf is written by Dhammarato, my good friend. Okay, so this is what the path really is. These are why names are given, by the way, is either it describes something, some quality that the man already has when he's being ordained, or it's a name the Upajjhaya gives him to say, this is your job, this is your duty. Your duty to the Dhamma is to become delighted in the Dhamma, because there ain't nothing else. That's all there is. Let's go have fun. And at this point, the tradition is that this is when the student of the Dhamma, the Sotapan, is now a fully qualified teacher. This, in fact, are the ones who make the best Dhamma teachers because they can't shut up about the Dhamma. Mm. That's all you're going to get from them is Dhamma, 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 Dhamma. And when you get into that life, they make the bet to where someone who is an arahat, he doesn't really care so much about the students. He's really above it all, right? But the Sotapan is the one who just can't shut up about it. That's all he's got to say, because he takes great delight. And thank you for calling, because you give me an opportunity to take, again, great delight in talking about the Dhamma. So do you have any questions? Did I answer you well enough?
Yeah, that was take in. So obviously those 7 steps. What were the suttas you said? Was it MN 48?
Yes, the Kosambian Sutta, number 48, and Sutta number 24, that has a slightly different version of it, in the sense of that they talk about steps 6 and 7 is knowledge and vision of what it is like to be noble, or what it is like actually to become noble. Okay, so an example of that is that the guy who is in the valley going to climb the mountain. So the first thing that he does is that he's got the determination that he's going to climb that mountain. The next thing he does is he gathers up all the camping equipment and all of the goods that he's going to need to climb that mountain, including maps and anything else that he's going to need along the way. And then he gets up on the plateau, so now he can look down and he can see that valley whoa far away, but the hilltop is still above him. And now the last step is that he's climbed to that mountaintop, and now the village is so far away he can barely see it. But instead of seeing a great big mountain around you everywhere, when you're on top of the mountain, you have a 360-degree vista. You can really see the Dhamma. Okay? So that's those 2 suttas, the way that they're expressed, go completely hand in hand. They are, in fact, 2 different versions of the same sutta. Funny that one's double the other one. One's number 24 and the other one is number 48. Mm. But that's just synchronicity, because I would go so far as to say that the Kosambian Sutta is actually doubly good. That we do need Sutta number 24 to understand some of the stuff, but the real explanation, the doubling, is in Sutta number 48.
Okay.
And this is what makes a good teacher. The rest of the path is to start dropping some of the stuff that you really know. So you could also say that the path then is knowledge and then deliverance.
Right.
And that this is the step of Sotapan, which is, by the way, also known as the elimination of the first three fetters.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of the 10 fetters.
Okay, so the first fetter then is understanding that who you are is not important, that in fact who you are is irrelevant. And yet you'll find a lot of the stuff in the Hindu and in many other places where they'll say is that you have to figure out who you are. You'll never figure out who you are. But that's in fact wrong way of paying attention. It's what they call unwise attention. So I'm adding a third sutta now, and that third sutta is the Sabha Asava Sutta, sutta number 2 in the Majjhima Nikaya. And this is where we talk about knowledge and deliverance. And the first thing that we have to do is to gain that knowledge. And what is the three knowledges? Is that you are not who you thought you were, and you will probably never figure it out. But what you do pay attention to is the Four Noble Truths. This is dukkha. This is the cause of dukkha. Wow, what a relief. This is the finish of the dukkha right now, and this is the method that we get there. And then when we're paying attention to the Four Noble Truths, then we kind of forget all about who am I, my, me, and my, and all of that. But also, we gain victory over the Pali word is Silabhata Paramasa. Silabhata Paramasa is not so well translated as attachment to rites, rules, and rituals. But Eric Berne and Sigmund Freud gave great insight into this, that Freud called it the superego, and Eric Berne called it the parent ego state. When we're little kids, we listen to the parents. We learn what they had to say. We pick up all their supposed tos, all their rules, all their criticisms, etc., all their standards, and we remember that. And then when we get older, we start beating the hell out of ourselves with the bludgeon of all of these rules, these standards.
And that's neurosis.
That's neurosis, is not living up to your own standards. So what we begin to do then is to drop all of these rules, drop all of these standards, stop fussing and complaining about ourselves and the world. That's the second one. And the third one is the eradication of doubt. Now, what does that mean, and how does that relate? The doubt about the knowledge and vision of what is and is not the path. We are completely free from any doubts about this is how I'm going to live my life. I'm going to live my life Dhamma. I'm going to follow the teachings of the Buddha. That's it. And they get enormously happy out of that.
Yeah, it's quite simple, isn't it?
It really is. And so these first three fetters are called the knowledge. This is what the Sotapan has. He does not have all of the defilements kicked in the butt, but he does have the delight that he's willing to look at these defilements. He's willing to look at his greed. He's willing to look at the things that he doesn't like. And the reason that he doesn't like stuff is because they don't meet his standards. When we develop the point of forgetting about the standards, then everything is already okay. It's already a paradise if we'd only stop judging it.
That's freedom, man.
That's the freedom that comes about. The knowledge is that now we can see what's there, and we can put that junk away. We can drop it. Okay, so the last thing that we can talk about is that then what is the Sotagami? The Sotagami is the one who is starting to see that stuff and starting to eliminate it. Now, in the beginning, I mean, when we're really little kids, we're taught you should not play with fire. And when we get burned, we stop playing with it. Actually, I have never stopped playing with fire. I don't think anybody does. We light candles. We pour wax around. We make beautiful things out of fire. We mold metal with it. All kinds of stuff. but we don't get burned because we see it. And so we can avoid the pain. So this is the point about the Sotagami, is that he can see the dukkha and he doesn't get burned so much anymore. But when he gets to the point of Anagami, that's when he doesn't get ever burned.
Right.
Right? But he still plays with fire.
Right.
But he doesn't ever get burned. And then the Arahat is the one who even stops playing with the fire.
Right.
Okay? And Arahats, except for rare occasions like the Buddha recognized in his early freedom, was that if he doesn't teach the Dhamma, nobody will. But in the modern times, we have seen, in fact, that this is coming true because the Arahats that do come around, because they've come through getting rid of all of the stuff, they don't make very good teachers. But at best, what they become is very much like the old Zen master. All you're going to get out of him is a one-liner. You either get that one-liner or he's gone. That's just it. But that's all they give is one-liners. The example of one of the one-liners is that the two monks are sitting there and they're quibbling over, does the flag flutter, or is it the wind moving that gives the appearance of the flag fluttering? And the old Zen master comes by and says something like, it's the mind that flutters. That's all he has to say. Another example of the old Zen master is he's walking down the street, and on the street corner there is a Christian and an atheist having a conversation about hell. And the atheist says, there ain't no hell. And the Christian says, the hell there ain't. And the Buddhist walks by and just kind of mentions, hell, you're both in it right now.
The state of mind.
Yeah, the state of mind. And so this is where the Arahat is. He doesn't bother to teach all the details of the Dhamma. He just says one line, if you get it, you got it.
So to play with and not get burnt, is that a bit like how Jesus said being in the world but not of it?
Right. So he was teaching that. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to take his own advice. Yeah, that he'd never been to Jerusalem before, but when he went into Jerusalem, he got to ride on a donkey and people were praising and all of that kind of stuff. But his first stop was at the temple, and he saw those bankers, and he goes in there and raises hell, and within a week, he's nailed to the cross. Now, the right thing to have done was to gone to Caiaphas, the head priest at the time, and say, hey, psst, psst, wouldn't you have a whole lot more room in your temple to get really good stuff done if you had the bankers go out in the parking lot, out onto the forum, put up their tents and do their money changing and keep the animals out there and keep the temple itself clean? But Jesus didn't do that way. He didn't go make friends with Caiaphas. He went in there and raised hell. And then he had to put up with it. And so Jesus did not actually live up to his own standards of being in the world, but not of it. Can you be in the world, but not of it? Can you stay above it? Can you stay in that supramundane? Can you stay out of, in each one of these stages of the 7 stages of Sotapanna, in each one of them, we become different than ordinary people.
Yeah, we're not at the behest of our environment.
That we can deal with various environments without getting stuck into it. So, that's about it.
Yeah, I was just wondering, when can it be said that the first fetter is dropped?
When you know when you have practiced the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Noble Path, and you've got that confidence that you got it, without a doubt, this is all the elimination of doubt, even to the point of the doubt of knowledge and vision of what is and what is not the path. You've got that wired. You know what you're doing is not the Dhamma. Or you know for sure that what you're doing is Dhamma. This is the third knowledge. That you're not following the rules anymore. That what you do is to avoid dukkha. So an example of that is there's a lot of videos on YouTube about police and how people handle police. One guy's got a camera just to antagonize the police so that they'll bust him. And others are when the police are out there on the road giving people tickets or taking them to jail or whatnot. How are you going to handle the police? Are you going to handle it according to the standards and the way that they say? Or are you going to handle it with knowledge and vision of what is dukkha and what is not? In other words, why don't we make friends with the police? Why don't we congratulate them? Why don't we give them what they want happily? Do you have the Dhamma well enough down so that you can be delighted to see the cop when he's busting you? Can you happily hold your hands back and say, oh, yes, I'll wear these handcuffs. Just don't make them too tight. I'm okay. Yeah, I'll cooperate with you, but I don't have anything to say. But I'd be very happy to be friends with you. So that's the way that we would handle that, is by, instead of following the rules or even giving credit for the cop having rules he wants you to follow, but rather our job is to be friends, to be friendly, to not cause dukkha.
Create less friction.
Right, no friction at all. Then in fact the likelihood is that he's not going to bust you, he's not going to search your car, he's not going to give you any trouble at all because he knows that you're completely friendly. You're not afraid of him at all. You don't see any problem with what he's doing. You accept him completely the way that he is. And boy, is that hard. Because we want to see that dukkha. Oh, you're a bad cop. Oh, all of these cops are a bunch of crooks. Oh, you're trained to be a bully, and here you are bullying me. And the answer to that is, yeah, but by acting that way, we're creating the dukkha.
Yeah.
So let's not create any dukkha. Let's not give the cop any dukkha at all. So that becomes our new rule. We only need one rule, and that is dukkha, dukkha, nirodha.
Yeah.
That's the only rule we need.
A great summary.
And when the mind wanders away from the breath, let's not give ourselves dukkha by saying, oh, you can't meditate, oh, your mind is no good, oh, why, I need better instructions, or maybe the teacher's no good, and all of that kind of stuff that we go through because we don't like that the mind is not trained, rather than happily training the mind to be gentle and kind to ourselves. I see that. I see the mind wandered away. Never mind, start again.
Yeah, that's the big attitude change I got from you. It's going really well.
Good one. So you keep practicing like that, and pretty soon you got no more dukkha.
Yeah, great.
You have confidence that you can live your life happily, no matter what happens.
Yeah, it's infectious.
That's right. That's why we don't actually teach the Dhamma in the sense of proselytizing, that the student comes to the teacher because they can see that the teacher has something to offer, rather than you going out there and selling the Dhamma.
Brilliant.
So the best way to handle the public, if they don't know anything about the Dhamma and not asking for the Dhamma, don't give it to them. What you give them instead is friendship. Give them a smile. Give them joy. And the joy itself will be infectious. And then they'll start asking questions. And now you can teach the Dhamma because they want something. So, do you have any more questions? I guess this is enough for today.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's great. Yeah, I'm learning so much.
Excellent. Well, we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
I'm glad to see you on the other calls. You can start talking to our friends on the Skype, the UK and the Skype US. There's always something interesting there.
Yeah, I'll go on the Discord too.
Excellent. Excellent.
Okay, thanks a lot, Dhammarato.
We'll see you.